Hi friends, welcome back to the channel. This is the story of how I found out I was dyslexic as an adult. So one of the coolest things about having this YouTube channel is I get to talk to a lot of dyslexics about their experience with dyslexia. And something I hear from dyslexics all the time is they didn't know or they didn't find out they were dyslexic until much later in life, like after they finished school, like college and stuff like that. So a lot of dyslexics find out they're dyslexic after they become an adult. And that's the same thing that happened to me. So most of the time when kids find out they're dyslexic, they find out in elementary school. Because in elementary school, kindergarten to 4th grade is when kids are taught to read. And then from like 5th grade all the way to like college, you're reading to learn. So in those first 5 years of school, teachers are really paying attention to how kids are, keeping up with their reading. And if you're dyslexic, well, then you're going to take a lot longer to read, so you're going to have a higher chance of getting identified when you're in kindergarten through 4th grade. But for me, what happened was I came to America when I was 10 years old, so I was like already in like 5th grade when I came here. And also, when I was having trouble reading, the teachers was just probably thinking like, oh, this kid's foreign, so he just doesn't know how to read English. But in reality, I didn't learn how to read Sri Lankan either. So because I was the foreign kid, people were just giving me the benefit of the doubt that it was just taking me a lot longer to read, and they were not really necessarily looking for dyslexia in my situation. And I think back in the days when I was going to school, which is about 10 years ago, like 15 years ago now, I think a lot less teachers and educators really understood dyslexia as much as they do now. Even back when I was a little kid, I was already hacking my ADHD and dyslexia. I'll tell you guys the story next in another video of how I learned English in the summer, like going from like no English to being like speaking like a regular, real American boy. I'll tell you guys that story in another video. Matter of fact, I've already made it. It's right here. So let's fast forward to high school. And now I'm in high school. I'm a sophomore. And this lady, the counselor, pulls me into her office and she's like, yo, Nishanta, I've been talking to some of your teachers and they think you should get tested for ADHD. And I was like, what is that? And she just said, it's attention deficit disorder. And the only thing I heard was like deficit disorder. I was like, oh, I don't want that, because I was already feeling really insecure about not being able to read and like keep up with my classmates and stuff like that. And I came from like an immigrant family, because I came here when I was 10, and my parents really wanted me to be successful at school, because it was like our ticket, like my ticket to like become successful in life. And I really believed that at the time. I believed that being successful at school was equal to being successful in life. For my parents, it was such a huge deal for me to become like this successful person academically, so I can become a successful person as an adult. So when I heard the word deficit and disorder, I was like freaking out, and I was like, please, 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 please don't test me. Because she was like, well, we gotta notify your parents, have them sign this piece of paper, and then we'll give you we'll give you a test or whatever. And then I just freaked out, and I was like, please, 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 please don't tell my parents about this thing that you think I have. I'll try harder at school. I just didn't want to get tested, because I knew what the reaction my parents would have had if they thought I was like, if I got diagnosed with this like other thing called ADHD. They would have like been really disappointed. My mom would have like probably been like really ashamed of it. And there was like just like a lot of like intellectual insecurity I had back in those days. And I don't know, maybe my parents wouldn't have even like freaked out as much as that I thought they would have. But I know the immigrant parent mentality that my parents were having, especially my mom was having, and there was a lot of pressure for me to like try to be successful, even though like I was like really struggling with that kind of stuff. So my counselor was like, all right, well, if you don't want to take the test or whatever, we're not gonna force you. And she just like let me go, and I was like, oh, thank God, that was like I just dodged a bullet there. And I tried really hard the rest of the year, and like so on and so forth. And I finally got to college. It's my last year at UCSB. It's where I went to college, and I'm taking this biopsychology class, and it's really hard. We're learning the mechanisms of how the brain upregulates certain chemicals and downregulates certain chemicals. And the tests are not multiple choice. It's a small class, and it's all written. And I would study so hard, and then when I try to go into the test and write down the things that are in my brain, I would freeze. I would make a bunch of mistakes. The spellings would be wrong. I mean, this is like a test where you have to memorize a bunch of facts and then apply those facts and information to a novel situation. So you have to like pull out a bunch of things out of your head and then like write it down on a piece of paper, and then you're judged on how well you're explaining yourself, like to solve the problem that the teacher wants you to solve. So it was really hard for me, especially because I had to memorize all those things. But the memorization wasn't the hard part. Like remembering all the facts and the knowledge wasn't the hard part. I actually knew the stuff. The hardest thing for me was I would just run out of time because it would take me so long to formulate the ideas in my head into the piece of paper, and I would always make so many spelling and grammatical errors that when the professor was like, or the TAs, when they were reading it, they were not actually like, they were not able to fluidly like read my answer and to see if I like understood the material. They were just like, there was like these jarring like spelling and grammar mistakes that were like, that was just throwing them off. And anyways, that class was so hard for me, and there was so much pressure on me at the time because my parents really wanted me to be a doctor. And I thought if I didn't do that, if I didn't get into medical school, like my life would be like really bad. Like my life would be like completely terrible. So there's a lot of pressure on me. So one of the roommates I had at the time was a biochem major, and I was like, dude, like these science classes are so hard. They ask so many essay questions. How do you like come up with a comprehensive answer when you have so little time? And he's just telling like, dude, I have ADHD, and I went to the students with disabilities department, and if you have ADHD or any kind of learning disability, you get extra time on tests. And I was just like, what? Bro, we've been friends for years and you're just gonna tell me now that you get extra time on your tests? That's crazy. So after he told me that, I was just like, I gotta go check this out because I think this like thing will really help me out. So then I went to the students with disabilities office, and I was like, hey guys, when I was in like high school, my counselor wanted to get me tested for ADHD, but we never got it done. Like, what's the process of like getting this whole thing? The dude was like, hey, yeah, this is the process. You just got to go talk to a psychologist, get an evaluation to see if you have ADHD, and then you fill out some paperwork and blah, 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 blah. Here's the whole process. So the first step was to going to see a psychologist who could kind of evaluate whether or not I had ADHD. So I went down to the office, and dude, his office was dope. It was like right on the beach. This dude was obviously very successful and very smart guy. He was an older dude, but like he was just, I don't know. He was like the idea that I had in my head of like, oh, okay, this is a psychologist. This is like a successful psychologist. So I went down to his office and he had me fill out some paperwork. And in the paperwork, there was like a section where I had to like write down a bunch of information about my life and like kind of like the story of like my like education history and stuff like that. And yeah, he gave me the ADHD test, and it turned out I was, I had ADHD, so I was really stoked about it because I was going to be able to get this extra time. But before I left the office, he's like, bro, hold up, let me talk to you for a second. So I was like, all right, what's up? And he told me, I was looking at your paper that you filled out, and it looks like you could be comorbid with dyslexia. A lot of people who have ADHD, who I test for ADHD, are also dyslexic. And I was like, bro, I don't even know what that is. I got my ADHD, I got my dyslexia thing, so I'm good. He's all like, no, let's just find out if you have dyslexia too. Yeah, so that way we know. We don't even have to do anything about it. I just want to give you like this test to see if you're dyslexic or not. So I was like, all right. So he had me do some stuff on a computer and like reading and stuff like that. Yeah, so that's kind of how I found out I was dyslexic, is on the same day that I found out I had ADHD. Now, at the time, I really didn't care about this dyslexia thing because all I really wanted was to get extra time to take these like really hard science tests. So I just took the ADHD thing and I showed it to the students with disability department, and I was able to get like extra time on certain classes for the rest of the semester because that was my last year of school anyways. So I kind of forgot about my dyslexia, and I was really more focused on the ADHD thing. So fast forward a couple of years, and I am now a 7th grade science teacher. It's my 2nd year. A student comes into my class. He doesn't look like he's having a good day. Usually when that happens, I like to try to, I don't know, I like to try to talk to the students to see what's going on, see if it's anything serious. So I was like, yo man, stay after class. And he's like, bro, I don't want to stay after class. It's lunchtime. I was like, come on, dude, just stay after class. So he stays after class, and I talk to him. And he's not having a good day because he just found out he's dyslexic. He just got a test or whatever that he found out he was dyslexic, and he thinks, and he said, bro, I'm stupid, I can't read, it's because I'm a dyslexic. And I just like, something clicked in my head. I was like, bro, wait a minute, I'm dyslexic too. So I started doing some research on like what dyslexia was after that kid said he was stupid, because at the time I was feeling like that too when I was in school. When I was in middle school, I couldn't read, I couldn't write, I couldn't keep up with the rest of my classmates. I was trying so hard too, and like every time I would try, I would like the other kids would just lap me. So I just felt stupid like all the time, because in middle school everything's based on like reading and writing. So it's really hard to get ahead. So I just started thinking about this idea, thinking about this problem, and I just did a bunch of research on dyslexia, and I found this book called The Dyslexic Advantage, and it completely changed my life. So after I read The Dyslexic Advantage, I was stoked on it. So I just talked to my student, and I kind of explained like how his brain worked, because all the stuff I was learning in that book was also new information to me. So I was like pretty excited to talk about it with him. And then next year, so year 3, I had another student who was dyslexic, and we were just like talking about it, and I just kind of realized like a lot of kids are probably dyslexic and they don't have this information. So I made my first YouTube video about dyslexia, and this is probably how you guys discovered my channel as well. So yeah, so that's the story of how I found out I was dyslexic as an adult, and how I kind of started this channel as well, I guess. If you guys want me to make more videos where I'm just telling stories like this, it seems fun, and I kind of want to get better at telling stories, so let me know. Also, how did you find out you were dyslexic? Did you find out in school, or did you find out as an adult like I did? Let me know in the comments below. All right, everybody. As always, if you have any questions or comments, please just, get in touch with me, because I want to talk to more dyslexics. Also, we have a community over at community.howtodyslexia.com. There's a lot of cool people talking about dyslexia, sharing resources, and just connecting with other people and supporting each other. So if you guys want to join that community, it's completely free. You can check it out at community.howtodyslexia. I'll put a link in the description below. Bye, everybody. Love ya. See you later.